And she said, oh, have you heard anything from Mother Reginald? And she said, no, I hadn't heard anything from them. I said, they've been quiet. They've been quiet. Because when they signed them out of conversation. What meeting you're supposed to be at?
I'm not even one of these meetings. I'm at another meeting. I'm supposed to be there at 6 o'clock, and it's 2 others. I didn't want to know. When's good time to call me? Is there a good time?
I was there early this morning like you. And I had to actually go to my real job.
Yes. Well, here it is. Okay, plenty of time.
Okay, 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You looking for the education commission? It's in the conference room. Oh, okay. Sure. Standing Committee of the Public Safety Committee today, Monday, September 16, 2019, is being called to order. It is 6:05 p.m. Roll call, Alderman Payon.
I'm here.
And I'm here, Rhonda Pendell Charles, Chair. Good evening to everyone. Good evening. Approval of the agenda. Can I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes, you can. I move to approve the agenda.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes. Do I hear
I
a
have
motion?
had the opportunity to review them, and I would move their approval.
So moved. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will move down the agenda on number B, ID-328-18, and we're going to take these combined. ID-329-18 and ID-330-18. Public Safety Spotlight, Annapolis Police Department. Oh, I'm sorry. Not reading my own agenda here. Let me start all over again. We will take ID number 32818, Public Safety Spotlight, Annapolis Police Department. We're going to take ID, I guess we better make a motion if we can take them out of order and group
So
them
moved.
together. We can do them?
Yep.
Okay, ID 33, wait a minute, Police Department. ID 333-18, Public Safety Did You Know, Annapolis Police Department, and ID 334-18, Annapolis Police Department Update Written Report and Comments Year-to-Date Overdose Summary. We have here from the Police Department, Chief Jackson. Chief Jackson, you can come to the mic, please. And what I'm going to ask our City Council Associate to do from now on, we're going to group them together, but we're going to rotate them each time. So next time, we'll probably group them together by the fire department. Then the next time OEM and group them back again. And that way we don't have you coming back and forth all the time. Does that make a lot of sense or no sense at all? I think that makes sense. And Madam Clerk, you can do that the next time, and that would be good. Chief Edward C. Jackson, welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I had indicated to the City Council Associate, but not to Alderman Payon, since we have a new public safety team, if you would just like to kind of greet those folks who are viewing in the public, just a brief overview of yourself and anything else you'd like to share.
Okay. Yes, my name is Ed Jackson.
Oh, can you turn your mic on, please?
Okay, is that?
Yes, sir.
Better. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
Yes, my name is Edward Jackson. I'm the newly appointed Chief of Police for the City of Annapolis. My background is in law enforcement. I spent over 20 years as a police officer, rising through the ranks to colonel in the Baltimore Police Department. From there, I spent 14 years as a full-time college professor teaching sociology and criminal justice. And then I went back when Baltimore went into consent decree. I went back as the Inspector General. I'm also a certified Inspector General. And I did that before given this wonderful opportunity to serve the citizens of the City of Annapolis. And so that's just a quick overview of my background. I've worked in all areas of law enforcement. I was a detective, a uniform patrol officer, and worked in police administration. So I'm just happy to be here. We've done some things since I've been here. I'm happy to say that we've promoted several members since I took office. On August I was sworn in on the 31st of July and took office a couple of days later. So we have a lot of things going on in the City of Annapolis.
You can give a quick overview of your educational background too, please.
Yes, ma'am. I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice with a minor in print journalism. I have a master's degree in the applied behavioral sciences. I'm sorry, let me go back. My bachelor's degree is from the old Coppin State College in criminal justice and print journalism. My master's degree is in the applied behavioral sciences, and my concentration is community development, and that's from the Johns Hopkins University. And I'm a doctoral candidate from Capella University, where I'm studying public safety leadership. My dissertation is the impact of absentee fathers in the lives of their children as it relates to crime, delinquency, and antisocial behavior. It's a quantitative correlational study using secondary data to measure the impact when the father is not present in the home. And my participants are both boys and girls. I'm also a graduate of the Association of Inspector Generals Institute, and I'm a graduate of the Senior Management Institute for Police. That's a Boston-based think tank, the Police Executive Research Forum in Boston, Massachusetts. And of course, my certification as Inspector General comes from John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City.
Excuse me, Ms. Nguyen, I made a big mistake yesterday. It's supposed to be next Monday. I am so sorry. I sent you an email yesterday. I truly apologize. I am so very, very sorry. I thought about it when I got home. I am sorry. Sorry about it, Ms. Nguyen.
That's okay.
All right.
See you next time.
I feel so bad, but thank you. Sorry for cutting you off, Chief.
No, ma'am, no problem at all. No, ma'am, thank you. So that's pretty much my educational credentials. My dissertation is incomplete, but I really hope once I get settled here to go back and complete it. I was in chapter 3 at the time, doing my literature review, the review of the literature. And so I'm hoping to bring some of those skills from all of those things. I went to a meeting this morning. I attended a meeting, my first, it's the Public Schools Security Council. Yeah, the Public School Security Council meeting in Anne Arundel County this morning. Thank you, Deputy Chief Spriggs. And one of the things I said to the group is that I hope to bring a sociological approach to the city of Annapolis as it relates to solving some of the problems, especially in underserved neighborhoods, because, of course, my personal mantra is that crime emanates from social problems. Social problems don't emanate from crime.
Excuse me, Ms. Nguyen, did you want to take the elevator? Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry for
That's okay. But I was saying that my mantra is that crime and social disorganization is a result of social problems, not the other way around. Social problems don't emanate from crime.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Chief, and we're so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know if you're familiar with how we go through our agenda, especially since we don't have any legislation on for today. But we've started 2 segments back in January. One is called Spotlight, and one is called Did You Know? And the purpose of Spotlight is for the different public safety departments to bring to us and to the public anyone that has done something exceptional or something even the mundane that should be brought to the attention of public safety, and let the public know exactly oftentimes what the police and the fire and Office of Emergency Management are doing out in the public. Oftentimes people know, but they don't know the different kinds of interactions that they have with the public, and there may be an officer or a captain or someone among the rank and file or even a civilian that you would like to bring to our attention. Whether, I know with the fire department we get different letters and emails from the public saying they would like to thank officer so-and-so or firefighter so-and-so for doing an exceptional job or doing, like I said, the mundane. So that's the whole purpose, for you to bring something to us, whether by email or letter, just to let us know and let the public know what's going on out in the community and what special things or non-special things that you all are doing. But if you don't have anything today, or if you do, that's fine, but you definitely today can be the spotlight.
Yes, ma'am, and I apologize. This is my very first one.
We know.
But the men and women of the Annapolis Police Department are doing so many wonderful things, from our movie, the movies that they show. I mean, just so many wonderful things that they're doing, and I promise you next time I come, I'll be more specific. But there's a whole litany of things in the 6 weeks that I've been at the helm that the men and women of the Annapolis Police Department has done. From working with young people to even coming to me with different ideas as to how to better interact and engage the community. So there's so many wonderful things, Madam Chair, that the Annapolis PD is doing. Everything from looking at policy. We've promoted, I think, 1 lieutenant, 5 sergeants, 4 corporals, but I'll give you a more accurate account, but I think I'm fairly close. And I think 1 officer first class. But everything from what we're doing with young people, it's just been phenomenal. The outreach is there, and all we want to do henceforth is to enhance the things that we're already doing. So I'll make it a point, now that I know the process, to make sure that I come armed with more specific things that the men and women are doing.
That's fine. Like I said, if you get a letter of acknowledgement or something, certainly bring that to our attention. And if the person within your rank and file or a civilian would like to come and be recognized specifically, that's always the time to do it as well. But that's your choice. However you want to handle it, everybody handles it differently.
Well, I'm a firm believer that you always praise in public. You admonish in private and praise in public, and take every opportunity to let the men and women know that the job that they're doing is much appreciated, because I know the citizens of Annapolis appreciate it. I know this body appreciates it as well.
Oh, absolutely. The second thing, like I said, is did you know? And that pretty much came about because oftentimes the public is not aware of, say for instance, the cost of items that may need to be replaced. When we did this in January, the fire department came to us and they set up, I think it was 6 items, anywhere it cost from maybe $8 to, I guess it was about $30,000, and they did it like a Price is Right, where those of us on the committee had to determine whether the price was higher or lower. It was a nice little fun game, but it was also a way for people to know how much a stretcher costs, or how much a dose of Narcan costs, or that sort of thing. So bring it to and we did it to let the public, as well as my colleagues on the dais, know exactly what the budgetary items are. That's what it's used for. The fire department did it that way. Office of Emergency Management will do it another way. I know our previous chief came in and told us some of the things that were free and could be complimentary. So any way you want to do it is up to you. The spotlight is basically for the individuals. The Did You Know is just to give us information and let the public know. And we were doing it mainly to let people know, especially around budget time, what things cost and how much it would be to replace something. So that's just to kind of give you a heads up. However you want to do it, it is up to you.
Yes, Madam Chair. There's been a couple of interesting expenditures that I think fits in line with that, and I like the idea because it's transparency and it lets the public know how their dollars are being spent. And so I'll have that next time as well.
That's fine. Okay. The other thing is to, as far as any written reports or comments concerning the overdose issue that we have in the city, I know the fire department and the Office of Emergency Management are more intimately involved, but I do know that we're going to be bringing along the police department in fighting this. So I don't know if you had any comments concerning that. I see Lieutenant Krause in the audience, so I didn't know if he was here to lend any sort of information. But
yes, he can better speak to that, but I am aware. I've had conversations with both Chief Doug Romali and Chief Kevin Simmons, and I know some of our numbers are kind of absorbed in one another because they provide a lot of the Narcan and a lot of the assistance. So I'll make sure that those numbers are delineated But I know that Chief Romali and Chief Simmons have been a tremendous help, and they were the ones that brought me up to speed as to how that process works.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I want to thank them.
Certainly, thank them, very much so.
Yes, I don't have any information on the OD. I was not prepared for that tonight. But
That's fine.
I was going to speak a little bit about our summer camps.
Oh,
That was okay
absolutely.
If I can speak about that real quick.
Okay.
So altogether this year we did 12 camps. We had 10 of our own. We participated with STARE with their reading groups, and we did one in Robinwood and Madison Street, so that got us up to 12. But we did camps like kickball classic, which we had 75 kids at this year, which was the most kids we ever had. We brought kids up in the teams and stuff like that. We had kids from all over the city come together. We mixed them all up, so it wasn't like neighborhood versus neighborhood or anything like that. And we did a big cookout, and the kids had a blast. They really did. It was a good time. They got to interact with officers. We had officers for each coach. Was an officer for each team, and then he also participated and played in the game. So it was a lot of fun.
Great.
We did 2 fishing camps. We did a crabbing camp where I actually took kids out on my boat this year, and we did crabbing camp. We got a bushel of crab. We came over to Jonas Green Park. We parked the boat up on the beach. We cooked the crabs up right there, and the kids had a crab feast. So the kids had a blast with that. We did a forensic camp. We did 2 mentoring camps. We did an arts camp. We did a fishing adventure camp, which is with our fishing adventure partner right down here in downtown Annapolis. Trying to think what other camps we had. A DARE camp. And if I said forensic.
Yes.
Yeah, so we had all those camps. We had about 330 kids we affected this year. So it was a great summer camp year.
Great.
I just
And
want to
you
add,
have
I'm sorry, I just want to add, Madam Chair, that the fish was very good.
And you'll have a report,
big.
a written report next time?
Yes, ma'am. I'll have the whole report up on
Great.
for our summer
Wonderful,
camps.
wonderful. Alderman Payon, do you have any questions or comments?
Absolutely not.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order, Police Department?
I can't think of anything
Okay.
at this time.
All right, fine. Well, thank you very much, and welcome again to
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Actually, I do have one thing, a little bit off topic, but how's Mrs. Beans? Ms. Beans from Monday night?
Miss
Last
Sally
week.
Beans.
Yes, yes. Fine. We sent somebody out, and that's being investigated. We sent somebody out the next day, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of what the.
Well, I'm just concerned that when she calls, she'll get a dispatcher who doesn't really know the big picture there. And
No, I personally saw to it that they went out there. I got together with me and Deputy
she's a
Chief.
nice lady.
She's
who
a very
doesn't
nice lady,
deserve-
very amenable, and we
Doesn't
followed
do-
up with her.
Right.
But I'm curious now as to the weird smell. I had mentioned to, I think I mentioned to Chief Romali, I said, did we ever have any meth labs? Because she just described the smell. And I don't know if you can smell meth. I'm not that well versed. I know a lot of things, but I don't know what meth looks like. But I was just concerned about that when she described the weird odor. But I can get back to you with it's still being investigated.
I would think that if an officer, I don't know if an odor is enough to get a warrant or not, but certainly would be a strong factor.
I think that if we could articulate in a sworn statement and an affidavit with that, and with a certain level of expertise to say, not for certain, but with probable cause that it may be one substance
Yeah.
or another. But I think the challenge is going to be her description of it, because we're only going by her description, and,
Right.
and not, that's not firsthand.
Well, I think an officer would have to.
Officer would have
Smell
to
it.
smell it firsthand and be able to say that, through DEA training that they know it to be or believe it to be whatever it is. But I'm real curious, sir, and I'll let you know what the
Okay.
smell is.
But please let me know how that goes.
The other side of that continuum is it may just be bad cooking. In addition to him being a nuisance, it's maybe bad cooking coming from the house. So we'll let you know, I promise.
Okay, thank you.
We won't tell Miss Sally what you said. Okay. Well, thank you all very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is ID 32918, Public Safety Spotlight, Annapolis Fire Department. ID 331-18, Public Safety Did You Know, Annapolis Fire Department. And ID 335-18, Annapolis Fire Department Update, Written Report and Comments, Year-to-Date Overdose Summary. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Chief O'Malley, Deputy Chief Spriggs, good to see you.
Doug O'Malley, new fire chief. I'll go a little bit into my background
Absolutely.
in a second, but if I could just add on to the alderman's question there. The police chief and I did talk. If an officer goes out there and they have a strange odor, they're going to call the fire department. We'll bring some monitors out, and that would also help articulate whether or not they need to get a warrant to get in the place next door. But we've had discussions about it as we go through my education and background. What I was going to go into is the police chief, the emergency manager, myself talk on a regular basis, and all of us are working together to address any issues that arise. So I can assure you that if something comes up, we're going to take care of it.
Thank you.
But as for me, I'm Doug O'Malley. I guess I'm the new old guy. I don't know how I became an old guy overnight, but it seems that way. I was born and raised here in the city of Annapolis and joined the fire service at the age of 16. So I have 36 years of fire ground experience. Started as a volunteer and was able to get hired when I was 19 years old and rose through the ranks here in the Annapolis Fire Department. While doing that, I've worked in every aspect of the fire service, and I've been very privileged to be able to get that experience. While I was doing that, I also attended college, so I'm a graduate of the Anne Arundel Fire Academy, Anne Arundel Police Academy, did some FBI training for bomb squad stuff. And while doing that, I attended Anne Arundel Community College. After my associates, I moved on to the University of Maryland, where I got a fire science degree, and then went to Johns Hopkins University, where I got a degree in management. So I'm very proud to be the new fire chief. The first official act after I was sworn in made me very proud because I was able to promote a deputy chief, and he's sitting here to my right, and I will let him introduce himself.
Absolutely.
And I'm Carol Spriggs, the deputy chief of the department. Initially began working here in the city in 1994. Did a brief stint with the fire department, and then I went into law enforcement. Worked 8 years in law enforcement as a patrol officer, undercover narcotics officer, homicide investigator. And then I saw the light and came back to the fire department and have been promoted through the ranks. I've worked in fire investigations, been an ALS provider all those years as well. Commanded a bomb squad for several years, operated or handled an explosive detection K9, was the supervisor of the Special Operations Division for the fire department, and then recently promoted to deputy chief.
All right. Thank you so much. I can't say how impressed I am with our new public safety team. Overwhelmingly impressed. Extraordinarily impressed. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So as for our spotlight this month, I don't have an individual person. My spotlight is for the entire department. The men and women of the Annapolis Fire Department participate or partner with the MDA every year, and they start that in August. The Madam Chair was there for our kickoff, and the firefighters actually thank you because you actually started the kickoff without a doubt. So they thank you for that.
Captain Tug.
They do this in a timely manner, strategic timing, matter of fact. But every year, right around Parents' Weekend, which is the first weekend when the MIDS parents get to come see them, we go out and we solicit for funds for muscular dystrophy. The firefighters go out there, each shift, all 4 shifts go out on the streets while they're working. In between running emergency calls, they engage with the public and they raise funds for MDA. This year, so far, they have raised over $12,000. They have a partnership with Papa John's Pizza here in Annapolis, who does a promotion, whereas during that time period, somebody buys a pizza, a certain percentage goes towards the funds also for MDA. So we thank Ray Sears and his group at Papa John's Pizza for assisting us with that. Total numbers aren't in, but so far they've raised over $12,000, and I think that's a good partnership with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 1926, and the administration, because that's what makes it happen. So that is our spotlight for the month.
All right. Very good.
Our Did You Know aspect is, as you know, we operate a 36-foot fireboat. The fireboat is 13 years old, and anybody in the city of Annapolis that has a boat or been around boats knows that the salt water and the waters out there play factor on the boat. So this year in the budget, the mayor and the city manager placed in the budget money for some upkeep of the boat. Now the boat is maintained out of the Eastport Fire Station. The crews there do a lot of the work on it, which saves the city thousands of dollars. They're very dedicated individuals that like working on the fireboat. They're very experienced, and they are also mechanically inclined. So fleet maintenance doesn't have to do everything. The actual servicing of the boat is done by the crews there under the guidance of fleet maintenance. But the boat's getting a lot of corrosion on it. When we bought the boat, it was probably $500,000. A new boat's going to cost us well over $1 million. So we know this boat is 13 years old. We want to extend the life of the boat. It's got a lot of years left in it. We want to extend it by 5 to 10 years. So in this budget, there was money placed in the budget for the boat to go back to the manufacturer. And thanks to the council's approval with the budget, we were able to do that. So right after the boat shows, the last boat shows in October, we're going to be pulling the boat, and it'll be going back to Canada. But while that's happening, and the police chief may not even know this yet because he has partnered with us. So before the police chief actually was on board, we'd gone to the police department because we do not want to lose that resources for 6 months, because the boat's going to be out of service for 6 months. Our fireboat runs anywhere from 80 to 100 calls a year out on the waters, and they're all emergency calls. This year, up to this point, they've run over 86 calls, and they continue to run calls every week during the summertime period. But while the boat's out of service, we partnered with the police department.
Can I interrupt you for a
Yes,
moment?
sir.
What types of calls do you respond to?
So the majority of the calls are water rescues, which are either the drownings, people injured on a boat, or actually sometimes it's boats taken on water, collisions of boats, and then we have fires, which do occur on boats. And
Any idea how often you have to actually transport somebody? Ballpark.
Special ops chief here.
mean,
I would say-
one or two, couple dozen.
I would say upwards of a dozen a year at least. The last transport that we had was actually during the mayor's triathlon, where we actually had a swimmer go down during the swim portion of the race.
Was his first name Gavin?
This year was not, no sir. But one of our off-duty firefighters actually grabbed this person and pulled it to the harbor master's boat, and then transferred him from the harbor master's boat onto our boat, which was out in the water, and then we brought him to shore. It was an actual medical emergency. So
An ambulance meet you on?
we had an ambulance at City Dock, and then they transported. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's not uncommon. Most of the issues we run in on the water, because our boat's not out there 24 hours a day. The Coast Guard's out there, but they're a ways off. Maryland Natural Resources Police is out there, and sometimes the city police boat's out there. The harbor master's on the water. So anytime there's a maritime emergency and they put out that call on Channel 16, any boats in the areas go. So a lot of times when we get the drowning calls or the people in the water calls, they've been plucked out of the water before we get there, but they're typically transferred over to our boat. Even when the Coast Guard gets out there first, has a medical emergency, we'll meet them out on the water. We'll either put our medics and EMTs on their boat, or they'll transfer the patient over to ours. Just this morning,
I was just going to say, just today, the Coast Guard actually flew a crew in from Atlantic City, and they were training with our fireboat crew out in the bay on actually hoisting patients from our fireboat into the Coast Guard helicopter. So the crews that were working today actually stated that it was the best training that they've ever had with the fireboat and dealing with the Coast Guard. So we've developed that relationship with the Coast Guard. They actually reached out to us to see if we were willing to train with them, and so I think that's going to be something going forward that we continue to do.
so there's 3 primary fireboats in Anne Arundel County. We are one of the 3. And typically when you're on the water, all 3 boats end up going. So it's a boat out of Shady Side, our boat, and a boat out of Sandy Point. There's other boats up north run by the volunteers, but ours, they are the 3 primary boats. And typically when you're on the water, especially for a fire, you need those resources, because unlike a fire in the house where we continue to put people towards it and apparatus towards it, getting them out on the water is a little more difficult for us.
But we respond to the county on the water the same as we do
We do.
on land?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So to make sure we have that ability when the boat's out of service for those 6 months, we partnered with the police department. We still have to meet with the police chief and the major to finalize it, but we're going to share the police boat for a rescue boat at that time. So that's the plan. So we're not going to miss a beat. We won't have the firefighting capabilities, but we've talked to our partners in the county to assure that that occurs. But we wanted to make sure we have those abilities on the waterway when the boat's out of service for 6 months, because that does concern us, especially with the amount of boats and waterway we have here in the city of Annapolis, not to include going past the Severn into the Chesapeake Bay.
Okay. Any more questions, Alderman Payne?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So our last thing is the update. I left you our quarterly update. It's on your desk there.
Yes.
Just a few highlights of it. So from January up till September 1st of this year, we've run over 8,000 emergency calls. As you can see, it's still 60 to 70% of what we do is EMS. The other falls in the fire and service call areas there. So we've transported over 3,700 people to the hospital. Our cardiac arrest survival rate is at 6.5%, which is above the national average of 7.1, so we're very proud of that. There's statistics in there about safe stations. We've had 81 safe stations so far this year, which is constant. It may be down a little bit, but we're still pretty busy, and we're one of the busiest in Anne Arundel County for the safe stations. We've collected over $1 million in EMS billing fees up to this point, and we're very proud that we've trained just under 1,000 people in the Your Life Matters campaign, which is hands-only CPR, Stop the Bleed, and Narcan. So just under 1,000 people have received that, and we've issued over 175 or just about 180 doses of Narcan out to the public. So that's out there. There's some other statistics in there about some building inspections and things like that. Just some highlights, just the capital budget that's out there that you all have approved. We have apparatus on order. We have ladder trucks, pumper, rescue squad, and medic units on order. I am very proud to say that by this time next year, our fleet will be top-notch, up to par, where it has not been for some time. So we're very proud of that. We definitely appreciate what the city manager, the mayor, and the council has done to improve those services for us, because we did have an aging fleet. The capital projects at the Eastport Station are still underway. That was the female facilities and some of the upgrades at the station. It's slow moving, but it is moving along. And the Taylor Avenue roof is probably 90% done.
Whoa.
As you all know, when Chief Stokes got here, the roof had still, they were working on the roof. Chief Stokes left and the roof still was not complete, but we were about 90%. We also have a capital project there. It's so part of our cancer initiative. Chief Spriggs and I are really pushing forward the safety aspect of our department. Some of that is the cancers that are coming up. So we need to get our turnout gear, which is the firefighting turnout gear, out of the engine bays where the exhaust from the diesel motors are, even though we have exhaust systems out there. So they're going to build a new turnout gear room there. Just a little more on it. Eastport Volunteer Fire Company had purchased a brand new pumper for use in the city of Annapolis. That was about $520,000. The volunteers went out, got donations, are using some state grant money, and they're actually financing this pumper over the next few years. But that has saved the city well over $500,000, and we utilize that pumper every day because we staff it. What is hurting us currently is we had about 22 to 23 soft vacancies. They include either the people in the fire school that aren't out on the street yet, sick leave, FMLA, long-term workers' comp claims, pregnancies. There are several out there. We need 23 people to work every day. That's our minimum staffing. So as you can see, that is basically one full shift of people that are not out on the streets. So our overtime budget's taking a hit the first couple months of the year. What we can say is that we have 9 people graduating from the fire academy next week. Actually, it's this Friday. So they are out on the street, so that's going to help some. Chief Spriggs has transferred some people around to even out the shifts to help with our overtime concerns, and we are currently in a hiring process. We have 7 vacancies currently, and we plan on having those vacancies filled by the end of the year. Besides that, like the hospital wait times is probably our only big concern. We are doing a better job tracking that. We put some avenues in place to be able to determine how long it's actually taken us instead of us just saying it's taken a long time. While we still have those outlying times where our medic units are at the hospital for over 2 hours, it is not quite as bad. We have met with the hospital staff. We've met with our partners in Anne Arundel County. We have meetings coming up with some Medicaid stuff. So we're looking at multiple different avenues to address this. This is nobody's fault, not the fire departments, not the hospitals, it's just an overall healthcare issue that's slowing things down, and we are working on that because our concern is we run 4 medic units every day, and when all 4 medic units are tied up at the hospital, we can't handle that next call, and that concerns us. We have excellent partnerships with our mutual aid companies, Anne Arundel County and the Naval Academy. We're going to get medic units, but they're probably going to be farther out. But while our units are there, a lot of their units are at the hospital with us. So, but we are working that. We put the hospital times in here because we know you've been interested in how many times they're on reroute and stuff.
Exactly, because we had that meeting a few months ago.
Those times are in here. Anne Arundel was on reroute, which means you don't go to Anne Arundel 281 times this year. And then the red and yellow alerts are in there also. But it's just a basic update of what we have going on in the department.
We go to North Arundel when we're rerouted.
Yes,
Is there a second backup in case?
It's called Baltimore Washington Hospital now, but
What about PG?
It's known to us as North Arundel. So we transport to North Arundel or BWMC. We transport to Laurel Regional. We transport to Eastern Shore Medical Center, which is a standalone emergency room for lower priority patients. And obviously, trauma victims and burn victims go to
Please take me
specialty
to
centers.
university. I mean,
We got you. We'll take care of you.
I know at one point Harbor Hospital was involved in that. No.
So we'll go to Harbor if we have to. And truthfully, with the way we're running calls here, it's not unheard of us for have to go to Harbor. So we do. Our medic units are notified. They have the computers in their units to know what hospitals are on what statuses. And they're also told by our fire alarm what hospitals are busy. The county and us have entered into a partnership. We know when the hospitals get really booked and they're stacking patients up, we'll send supervisors over to the hospital and try to help eliminate some of that, at least to get some of the medics units back on the street.
Okay. I know we had a problem several months ago where we met with Toy Bayless and her team over at the hospital, and sounds like things have improved.
Yeah. They have. They're constantly improving. We have additional meetings set up. We have additional, and Chief Spriggs can talk a little bit about it, some alternatives that we're looking at.
Yeah, and you were at the meeting prior to the last one that we had, but we've had another one since then, probably 3 weeks ago, along with Anne Arundel County, where we discussed some options with regard to community paramedicine, where we would actually team up with staff members from the hospital and actually come out or go out into the communities and treat patients, if you want to say. The advantage to that would be that we would have a licensed physician or nurse practitioner or physician's assistant that could actually write prescriptions and actually treat the patient at their home, as opposed to people utilizing 911 to get to the hospital.
Is that through Aging and Disabilities?
Well, that's what we're working on now. We're trying to obtain funding or from the hospitals to see if they'll actually cover the cost for a program like that. There's model programs like that on the West Coast, and so we're looking at those options. And it would be a partnership with the hospital, with BWMC, and with Anne Arundel County Fire Department. But there's things that we still have to work out. We're just in the infancy stages, but we're in the talks with the hospital. And programs like that would actually help decrease the wait times for all EMS providers at the emergency
I know
rooms.
we had talked about the high flyers at that meeting as well.
Yes, ma'am. So we do have a list that we've kept. We're not as bad as we thought compared to Anne Arundel County. They had patients that
Multiple times
30,
a week,
40
yeah.
times,
Yeah.
and we may be at 5 with our high flyers, if you so want to call them.
So there's other things that are being looked at on the state level. We may be getting close to the point where we can transport to alternative care facilities such as, and I'm just using it because it's right on West Street, but Patient First
Okay.
or one of those
Urgent
facilities,
cares, yeah.
urgent care facilities. So the ability is going to be given to us, it looks like, that we can do that. It has to be worked out through the state and the federal because of funding with patient care and their insurance companies and things like that. But for the lower priority patients, that's probably coming. So we're looking at all alternatives that are out there. Some of it is protocol that has driven that change has to be made and done at the state level and the federal level. But we're going to continue to do everything we can to provide the services to our residents and our visitors.
Absolutely. Alderman Payon, any questions?
No, thank you.
I have two several different things I want to bring to your attention. A letter dated August 15th, Annapolis Fire Department, and this letter is congratulating Lieutenant Robert D. Cowan, firefighter first class Jack Beckwith, Kenneth Bloodsworth, Kenneth White, Michael Williams, and firefighter Eric Muchler regarding their assistance with the Training Academy recruitment training program. This is from Lieutenant Jennifer McAleer from the Anne Arundel County Fire Department. She has indicated the time that they spent helping the Training Academy with the recruit night evolutions was very professional, enthusiastic, and she has included a copy of the email regarding this. So we'd like to extend our congratulations to them. Also to firefighter first class David McGill regarding the same training program, and this is also from Lieutenant Jennifer McAleer of the Anne Arundel County Fire Department. Congratulations to fighter first class David McGill. Also from Ms. Gilda Folks and Ms. Monica Brown, who run the Annapolis Recreation and Parks Enrichment Camps. They are congratulating Battalion Chief Robert Christian, firefighters First Class Scott Edelman and Lawrence Harrison, and Tony Williams Jr., as well as firefighters Jeffrey Davis, Thomas Frankhauser, Tyler Knapp, Ryan Norris, Nicholas Papaleonti, Wesley Rebert, and Bridget Weiss for the help that they displayed and what they gave to our enrichment camps this summer. And regarding Captain Bud Zapata and firefighter Bridget Weiss, letter dated August the 28th, a complimentary note again from Ms. Gilda Folks and Ms. Monica Brown concerning the Annapolis Recreation and Parks 2019 enrichment camps. And also, Chief, of course my husband and I went to the Annapolis High football game on Friday night. You and your wife were there. I asked you why, and I should have known right off the bat that one of your firefighters is one of the assistant coaches on Annapolis High's football team, which is also my godson. And he asked me to come as well. So we congratulate you for reaching out and doing things to boost morale, keep morale, showing that your folks within your department are thought of not just within the firehouse, but outside in the community as well. And thank you for coming and supporting one of your firefighters. And I think that's exceptional to go outside, color outside the lines.
So I appreciate that, but it's a team effort without a doubt, not only with our partners in the police department and emergency management, but the men and women in the Annapolis Fire Department are the ones out here doing it every day, and it is a team, and it's a team that Carol and I are proud to be in front of and to move forward. If every one of those letters you read, they end up in the personnel files of each individual, so we do get a lot of compliments there. We get 90% compliments, very few concerns or complaints, so that's great. But the one you did bring up was firefighter first class McGill, which I must say he has probably been involved in Anne Arundel County's recruit training classes over the last, on and off over the last 10 years. But he's been one of the lead RTOs, which is a recruit training officer. So there's multiple people, not only in the city of Annapolis, but in Anne Arundel County, that firefighter McGill had trained, and it's shown out here as we go out every day. But the police chief told you he was very proud that he was able to do some promotions. Carol and I were also able to do some promotions, and Lieutenant McGill was one of those people that was promoted there. So he's worked very hard for our department. We're proud of that. We were able to promote a captain, Captain Zapata, another lieutenant, and some other firefighter first class. So we're very proud, and that's good for the department. But we appreciate you pointing that out.
Oh, absolutely. And the one thing I really like about this public safety team, I'll point out Deputy Chief Spriggs. He's a cross-pollinator. He knows law enforcement as well as fire safety and career paths. So thank you so much for being that kind of cross-pollinator within our city. That's extraordinarily important.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Chair,
Yes, sir.
are you going to make me tell the folks at home the bad news?
I didn't know there was any.
Yeah. They lost anyway.
I know. Anyway, anything else for the good of the order from the fire department?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you all so very, very much.
I'm confused. Who lost? Yeah.
What?
Annapolis
I'm confused. Who lost?
I thought they lost to Meade.
No, yeah,
Oh,
they
yes.
lost to Meade.
First game
but
they went. It was Meade. The game we were at the
yeah.
other day was not Meade.
They
They won that game. They brought
They
us some
won
wins on that.
the second game, but lost Meade to Meade. I was at the Meade game too, so and it was packed.
It was.
Okay, I stand corrected.
That's right.
Yeah.
You were halfway. There.
Show up
They won.
this,
No, you're correct.
He was
the
halfway
game
right.
I was at. They won. They
The
won
first
pretty good too. Matter of fact.
that just means
Thank you.
means you better show up next week.
All right. Thank you very much. And now we have the ID 330-18 Public Safety Spotlight Office of Emergency Management. ID 332-18 Public Safety Did You Know Office of Emergency Management. And ID 620-19 Office of Emergency Management Department Update, Written Report, and Comments Year-to-Date Overdose Summary. And we have Chief Kevin J. Simmons and Ms. M.K. with us this evening.
So Director Kevin Simmons, Office of Emergency Management. It's still hard to not say Deputy Chief, but I'm getting better at it. Just a little bit about me. I came to Annapolis in 2010 after retiring from Howard County. I took a year off and I failed retirement miserably. And I wound up coming here in 2010. I worked in the fire department as a deputy chief of planning up until July of this year when I assumed the role of director of emergency management for the city of Annapolis. Education-wise, I have a associate's degree in criminal justice. I have a bachelor's degree in business management and behavioral sciences. And I have a master's degree in legal studies. And all that hodgepodge stuff here gets me to the Director of Emergency Management. So I've been in public safety about 37 years. One of the things that I've done since I've been here in emergency management, I developed the first emergency operations plan with all the plans, the response plans for the city. Since I've been here, I brought in $10 million worth of grants to the city as well. 800 megahertz system for public works, transportation, planning and zoning. I got all that started here. And I changed our approach to response, bringing in all the agencies to response and work together. So that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Again, stellar public safety team.
Thank you. One thing I want to add, one of the things that me and my colleagues have been doing is that we've been meeting with special interest groups in order to understand any issues or concerns that they have that fall outside the issues and concerns of the general public. On August the 13th, we spoke and met with the Caucus of African American Leaders. On August the 27th, we met with the Anne Arundel County Muslim Council. On the 3rd of September, we met with Annapolis Pride and allies of the LGBTQ community. And October the 19th, we'll be meeting with the NAACP, the Anne Arundel County NAACP, and their executive board. We're still yet to set up appointments to deal with ACT, Anne Arundel County Together, and the United Black Clergy of Anne Arundel County, Bishop Antonio Palmer's group.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And I want to get a meeting with those as well. So they've been pretty successful meetings. I think they embraced us pretty good, and I want to kind of keep that going.
Great.
Have them become familiar with us, and we become familiar with their issues. Any questions?
At this point, Alderman Payne.
Absolutely none.
Okay. All right.
So what's next on your agenda?
That was the Did You Know or Spotlight?
No,
or,
that was my overview of me.
Okay.
There's nothing else.
All right. Then you can move on to the next item, whether it's Spotlight or Did You Know or your report concerning the overdose.
Well, let's do Spotlight. We want to spotlight two things. We want to spotlight our Food Friday program.
Oh, yes.
And our trip to Patriot Point. And I have
Yes.
M.K. Seborowski. She's my senior emergency management planner, and she'll speak on those.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So the first we're going to talk about is Food Friday. Some of you may know this initiative already because it's gone on since April, but it's been very successful. So basically what it is, it's one of our outreach initiatives, and it provides fresh produce to families in the Annapolis community. We have pickup and delivery options for those that may not have transportation to be able to come pick up the fresh produce that we're able to provide. And we work with the Anne Arundel County Food Bank to get the food, and we work with the police department sometimes to help us sort out the food and help make those deliveries. But really this is building relationships in the community. It allows us to have better one-on-one interaction with our residents, and really let them know that OEM cares, and you can really see that, that taking effect. So in April, we started off with 10 households, and we served 71 individuals. Here we are in September, at the end of August, we got to 87 households and 407 individuals. So from April till the end of August, it's 220 households serving over 1,000 individuals. So that's an initiative that started at OEM. We partner with other agencies and other departments in the city, and we're looking forward to continuing that program. Great. And so that's run by Caitlin Tisch, our emergency management planner. The second thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is Patriot Point.
Yes.
So, so this happened in August as well, around August 20th. So our office partnered with Rec and Parks, and we basically created one day full of fun for kids in the Annapolis community. We had about 25 children around ages 10 to 13. And so basically we partnered with the Military Bowl Foundation. So they operate Patriot Point, and they opened up their doors for us. So the kids had a great time. We had crabbing and fishing and kayaking, cornhole, volleyball, and it really brought them, into a new world of, what we can do over the summer with, our city departments and how we can work together. And they learned a lot, and we learned a lot from them. So we just had a really great day, and it was so successful that they welcomed us back for future events. So those are our two spotlights.
And that was a kind of a part of your presentation, part of your contribution to our summer pop-up camps. And that was
and we
from
need to
the
do
photos
more.
that look great.
Sure, yes. And we need to do more of that, because you have a lot of folks who come into Annapolis and they make a lot of money and then they leave Annapolis. But what we need to impress upon them is that we have needs, we have disadvantaged individuals and families in Annapolis, and they can contribute by doing little things like what the Military Bowl did, taking on our kids. We took, 25 kids down there at Crab Feast. They opened the doors, and our kids were so well behaved, and they thought a lot of our kids that they want to have them back next year.
Great.
And I'm going to try to get them at the council meeting so we can recognize them with a citation, maybe the next council meeting.
Certainly.
So did you know that the Annapolis OEM has been very, very aggressive with pursuing grants in the last 6 months, and we've been pretty successful. We've been having a great couple of years with grants for a jurisdiction our size. So did you know that OEM collects a list of projects from the police department, the fire department, public works, transportation, and MIT, and what we do is we keep this bank of projects. And when we get funding, we try to fund some of the projects, and we kind of keep the money going around, the funding going around, make sure everybody's taken care of. So here's what we managed to do in the past 6 months. We had $60,000 that we gave to the Annapolis Fire Department for their hazardous material monitoring equipment. $55,000 that we gave to Annapolis Police Department for upgrades to the mobile command unit. $73,000 to the mayor's office, the fire department, and OEM for substance use disorder initiatives. They're the three main initiatives that we've been working on. $1 million from the Department of Natural Resources for the flood mitigation grant, which goes to Public Works for their project downtown, which I understand has went from about 11 million to close to 15 million because of the tariffs and all. But Governor Hogan awarded that money through emergency management to Annapolis, and Howard County got some, and Baltimore City. $35,000 that just came through our door today. We just received a letter today. And what I want to do is get with the police chief when we did some substance use disorder programs. We got one from the fire department, we got one from the mayor's office, and OEM has done one, but we did not get one from the police department. So I want to take at least some of that money and develop a program coming out of the police department. So here's what we have pending. Of course, we have the $3 million FEMA flood mitigation that will go to Public Works. They're doing an archaeological study now, and we're getting closer. So that'll go to Public Works. We just submitted a grant application for $3 million to MDE for flood mitigation grant. Since the project has gone up, we've been looking for more funding to get to that project. So that's another $3 million that we hope we'll get. The governor has influence over that one. So the governor would say, okay, we like your project in Annapolis, and then he picks it, and then it goes to the General Assembly, and if they fund it, then that will be another $3 million. So we're hoping, if everything goes right, that we can have at least $6 million that we can get to come to that project. And we've just been notified that we have $59,000 that is coming in November, and that's been earmarked for about $20,000 to transportation for a project that they have. We want to fund one of their projects, and then 2 smaller projects with the police department and Public Works. So that $59,000 will benefit transportation, police department, and Public Works. So we're always looking, we're always trying to find new ways. Again, since I've been here, $10 million and counting. Anything that we can do to assist our fellow agencies, we're going to do it.
Chief Simmons, do you have a specialized or designated person as a grants coordinator?
Yes. Nicole Queen manages the grants once they get here. So
is it somebody, I mean, do you write them, or everybody kind of pitches in and writes them?
Everybody has a special calling. Dave Mandel is my mitigation guy. Any mitigation grants of $3 million for the flood mitigation projects, it comes through Dave Mandel. Opioids is $73,000 MK. She does all those grants.
Let me stop you right. Ma'am, are you here from the announcement about the city council meeting tonight? The announcement? Are you here? This is the Public Safety Committee meeting?
Oh, this is Public Safety.
Are you here for Annapolis Education Commission, or?
No, this is City Council.
I'm sorry, the announcement was made yesterday, and I was terribly mistaken. The city council meeting is next Monday at 7 o'clock. I'm so sorry, I recognized your face. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption, Chief.
So MK takes care of all our opioids and our substance use disorder. So anything dealing with exercises and grants there, that's Hannah. And anything dealing with recovery and the EOP, the Emergency Operations Plan, and that's KT.
Are they each out there looking for the grants, or there's one designated person that kind of goes out there? Logistically, how does that work?
We all kind of sniff them out.
Okay.
And then we work on them from there.
Okay.
So, any questions about grants?
Alderman Pale?
No questions.
Okay.
So, one of the things I said I was going to do when I was confirmed is look into cybersecurity. If you notice that everybody should have received something from Barb Smith about a program that's going to be monthly on cybersecurity. So we've already looked at different aspects of cybersecurity here in Annapolis, backing up your systems daily, the reinforce the basic cybersecurity awareness and education. And that's the training you're seeing now, and cyber incident response plan. So we've already started working on those things, and we're in good shape where that's concerned. We have a new health officer, Dr. Nilesh Kalyana-Raman. Kalyana-Raman, thank you. We had a brief conversation. He and I were supposed to meet. I am the city's liaison to the health department. What I want to do is bring him in and talk Annapolis issues, which are different than the counties at large. And I want him to meet with the alderpersons, the public safety team, the city manager, and the mayor, and whoever else we want. I'm trying to get everybody to do this at one time. very good guy, has an extensive background in public health. I think you'll like him.
I had an opportunity to chat with him on Friday. I'm now on the Anne Arundel County Public Schools and Anne Arundel County Mental Health Agency Mental Health Task Force, and he's also a member of it. On Friday, we had our meeting, so I had a chance to just kind of introduce myself and chat with him. Yes, very impressive. And also the town hall is coming up this week at Annapolis High School. I think it's Thursday night from 6 to 8, where it's kind of going to be a meet and greet. So I plan on attending that as well.
Is that with I call him Dr. K. Is that with Dr. K?
But there's another Dr. K who's the deputy, so they're kind of getting a little confused as to which Dr. K they're talking about.
K is her first name.
Right,
This
exactly.
is his last name.
Right. So,
Yeah, I met her.
yeah.
She's pretty.
She was at
impressive.
the Mental Health Task Force meeting as well on Friday.
So you and I have talked a little bit about quality of life issues.
Yes.
You know, we're seeing positive results from our stations, crisis response and treatment facilities, and we're starting to see a lot of people go into recovery. We want to make sure that their chances are very good to kind of kick this thing. So what do we need to do to engage quality of life issues? And you and I have talked about this, and that's something that should be on all of our radar screens. Some things like expungement of minor criminal records offenses so they can become more employable. Mentoring and support, employment training, employment in some cases, and then establishing Annapolis as a recovery supportive place where you can recover. Another thing that we need to consider also is budgetary enhancements for public safety. All agencies have individual needs. However, collectively, does the police department, the fire department, and OEM have a budgetary need that would benefit all three agencies that we should pursue together? Now, I haven't talked to my colleagues, but I'm looking at the PIO issue, and are we to a point where we need to look at a PIO program and a person that actually does that type of work and social media work with police and with fire and with OEM? Are there any particular budget items that we need to consider as a team, that we need to move forth as a team, even if it's in fire alone, even if it's in police alone? Active assailant exercise and training. This has been a 3-year process. We started in 2016, and we're leading up to our very, very last exercise. We're miles ahead of any surrounding jurisdiction in active assailant. This is the one where we put it all together. You know, the active assailant, going after the active assailant, neutralizing, capture, killing, whatever we're going to do. The rescue task force, also people moving, being able to transport a lot of people to a reunification center, and then being able to manage a reunification center. So this is where we put it all together. We talked about it, we stuck with it, we're making it happen. The only other thing I have is that we need to give due consideration to gun violence prevention. Right now, we're involved in the county's program, which are going to give recommendations to the county executive in December. But what about Annapolis? Again, Annapolis has unique needs. And we just have it so the police and the fire chief were added as subject matter experts. And all, they were excluded before, and we got them added in, but not at full capacity like you and I, but just as subject matter experts. So, you know, we need to turn around and take a look at Annapolis and what we're going to do in Annapolis as far as this possible legislation, et cetera. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, there is a question. Will there ever be an active assailant training or drill here in City Hall?
Did we do that already? I think we did it. If you're asking, are we going to have one for all the persons? We can arrange that. But with the employees,
I think it's for the employee, the workers in this building.
We've had. I have to check it, but I'm pretty sure that we had one here.
And Gorman as well.
And Officer Sullivan led it. along with Captain Muhitch, I do believe,
Okay.
and Edwards,
I believe so.
Captain Edwards as well. So we had one. I'll check and see, but I'm pretty sure that we went around to PIP, we went around here, and went to transportation, and we actually did the program for all of those.
One in Gorman building as well?
Gorman as well.
Okay.
Gorman as well.
Okay.
But I'll check for you just to
Yes.
make sure, but I thought that was done.
Okay.
Okay.
Just make sure, yeah. Okay. Any questions, Alderman Payne?
No, but a comment, Chief. I'm glad to see you're continuing to do the same fine job that you've done from the day you got here. I appreciate your efforts and keep up the good work.
So the initial question is, when I first came here, is what are you going to wear? What are they going to call you? Now the question is, how are you adjusting? Are you adjusting to the new? But what I think folks don't realize is I've been doing this for 9 years in some
I do.
capacity. You knew.
She does.
And
I wasn't here.
I'm doing just fine.
Okay, very good. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay.
No, don't think so.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
very much. Anything else for the good of the order out in the audience? All right. Make a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
So move. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is now 7:11. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you for
Appreciate
coming
it.
down, everybody.